So right now the Jaguars sit at 1-7, and obviously we're on a 7-game losing streak right now. And while we're not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, I mean, come on now. You guys all know where we stand. But with all that said, man, we're going to give out some mid-season awards, man. Just because we're 1-7 does not mean that this team deserves some Capri Suns and orange slices at halftime. So with all that said, we're going to go ahead and give away some offensive players of the year, rookies of the year, and some disappointments and all that different stuff in this video. So first off, I'm going to give the Offensive Player of the Year award. I'm going to give this award to running back James Robinson. Now, James Robinson is on a really good pace right now. So far, he has 132 total rushing attempts, 580 yards on the ground. That leads to 4.4 yards per attempt, as well as 5 touchdowns. And through the air, he's actually tacked on 27 receptions, 225 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So right now, James Robinson is on pace for 1,610 scrimmage yards. That's rushing yards and receiving yards combined, as well as 14 touchdowns. So he has been on an absolute tear. It's kind of scary to think, what would this offense look like without James Robinson? He has been just such a huge bright spot for the team when different areas have struggled. And, he's obviously an undrafted rookie free agent. We got him after the Jaguars cut Leonard Fournette. None of us knew what the hell the Jaguars were doing, but of all the questionable moves that the Jaguars might have made, either this year or just the last few years, this one actually turned out to be a pretty good move by Dave Caldwell. Now, next up, we'll go ahead and go into Defensive Player of the Year. This one I think is pretty easy. I think this one is Myles Jack. Myles Jack, after acquiring Joe Schobert, he kind of moved back to a position that was more natural for him, moving from the middle linebacker spot over to the weak side linebacker spot, and it's been a much, much better fit for him. He's a guy that he's having a Pro Bowl worthy season, although he's probably not going to get into the Pro Bowl just because you guys all know kind of what it's like when it comes to Jaguars actually getting into the Pro Bowl. But he's definitely having a Pro Bowl season, and PFF ranked him on their midseason second team AP. So that's a pretty good year for Myles Jack on a defense that's just putrid. He is by far the best defensive player this year, and I really don't even think it's up for debate. Next up, we'll go ahead and go into Offensive Rookie of the Year. Familiar name, James Robinson. I mean, who else can you really give this one to? James Robinson, man, he is 6th in the NFL in rushing right now. So let's go ahead and talk some more things about him. 6th in the NFL in total rushing yards. And he's also the 2nd amongst rookie running backs. Just think about this, guys. 18 different running backs were drafted in this draft. 18 different guys, and James Robinson somehow went undrafted. And the thing about this year is that it's not like it's some kind of year where rookie running backs are on some kind of tear. Really, besides Clyde Edwards-Helaire and James Robinson, there's really no rookie running back really doing all that much. I mean, when you look at it, man, look at some of the running backs that were drafted in the second round. You have DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, and A.J. Dillon. I mean, these guys are literally making little to no impact on their teams. And I mean, just look at DeAndre Swift. He literally lost week 1 single-handedly pretty much by dropping a touchdown pass. So it's like, you look at it, man, and James Robinson, what a find for a year where rookie running backs aren't really doing a lot, and a lot of running backs drafted, and this guy somehow slipped through, and now he is the bell cow. He's really the identity of this offense right now, and he's just been such a pleasant surprise for us. Next up, we'll go ahead and go into Defensive Rookie of the Year. This one kind of goes to Devon Hamilton by fault. I mean, by default, because when you look at it, man, CJ Henderson has had some struggles, and other than that, Clavon Chason doesn't get it. So this one goes to Devon Hamilton. He's coming off of his 2 best games of the season against the Chargers and Texans. He was a 3rd-round pick out of Ohio State. So really, this is a good snag for the Jaguars, and it kind of plays a position that goes a little bit unnoticed. Not many people really notice these nose tackles, 3 techniques really doing much, if they're just a run stopper. But he's been putting out some pretty good performances as of late. And we'll go ahead and go into the best offseason acquisition for the Jaguars. And it's been a tough year for Jaguars free agents. I mean, we gave Joe Schobert a lot of money, and he's been struggling a little bit, so we can't really give this to him. And other than that, man, you've had some guys that you signed that weird things happen to them, man. Like Al Woods opted out. You also had, Aaron Lynch, he retired, and you had, even though Aaron Lynch did come back, and you also had Rodney Gunter had to kind of sideline himself due to a heart condition. You had one of our defensive backs, I forget what his name is. I think it was Darquez Denard. But he opted out because of the virus that's going on. So this one I'm going to give this one to cornerback Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones was actually acquired through the Jaguars because the Eagles cut him on their final roster moves, and he's been doing some pretty good stuff, man. He's had some good games. He was actually a former second-round pick out of Washington, and the only reason he was a second-round pick was because he tore his ACL, so this was a projected first-round pick. But sometimes with these guys, man, their first stop does not work out, and they do pretty good at their second stop. I mean, look at Jaguars history. Look at Reggie Nelson. That kind of thing happened to him. Same kind of position with cornerback. Defensive back, I should say. But yeah, I mean, it's sometimes this kind of works out, and maybe this guy could potentially be a cornerback too, or maybe a slot cornerback. We'll see, man. But I've liked kind of what I've seen out of Sidney Jones. Next year we have a lot of holes, and maybe we don't have to rush to kind of fill that hole as quickly as we really need to with Sidney Jones. But Sidney Jones, man, he's been pretty good for the Jaguars so far. And the last thing I'm going to put out the biggest disappointment of the season. Now, I'm going to give these to two players. One player I'm going to give to, the easy one is Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew, I was a believer in him. I guess I shouldn't say believer, but, I was of the opinion that he does deserve a chance to start, this year based on what he did last year. He was 6-6. He outperformed Foles, and really it was a year where the Jaguars, none of the quarterbacks in the draft really fell to them. There was no perfect scenario when it comes to free agency quarterbacks, and you look at the state of our roster, and we weren't really prepared to win. So really, I said, look, I'm down to give Gardner Minshew a chance, and I said, look, it's Gardner Minshew. If he plays well, he should be able to win us some games, and he should be able to win us some games enough to where we kind of fall out of the position to draft a quarterback. But he just straight up hasn't been good. Now, you can blame it on, if you're a Gardner Minshew believer, you kind of blame it on, the offensive line isn't playing well, the coaching is bad, we had the hand injury. But, when it all comes down to it, the Jaguars played Jake Luton last week, and there was really no drop-off. And, with the current situation of the Jaguars, I just feel like we can definitely upgrade at that spot. And Gardner Minshew just hasn't been able to grab the team by the horns, and he doesn't have the same moxie that he had when he first took over the Jaguars. And he's probably one of my biggest disappointments, but I think that's kind of the easy way out. So I'm going to go with another guy. I'm not going to pick a rookie for this because really I feel like with rookies you kind of get, you kind of take what you can, and then the second year is when you should start putting a lot of expectations on them. But it's going to be Josh Allen for me. I mean, I know Josh Allen last year put up double-digit sacks because he, and he had help with guys like Yannick Ngakoue, Calais Campbell. But this year he's really the guy, and this season he only has 11 tackles and 2.5 sacks. Now, I know it's tough for him because he's getting double teamed and there's not really a lot else around a defensive line, but I still feel like he, would be able to find his way into a little bit more stuff. And I don't know, just with him, I just thought he was going to be like a Von Miller type of player, and I thought he would be able to really outperform himself based on, just how he is. And, he just really hasn't really elevated much yet, but I'm not freaking out about it. I'm not going to write this guy off as a bust or anything. I know that we need to get some help around him, and then he'll be able to pin his ears back a little bit easier and really get some disruptions and make some sacks. So yeah, man, those are kind of my thoughts about some of the Jaguars midseason awards. Let me know what you guys think. I do have a poll of this on my Flick Chat app, and yeah, guys, I'm giving away money and stuff like that at weekly giveaways on Flick Chat, so go ahead and join that down below. Also in the description down below, you can see for yourself how to win a free Josh Allen jersey. So that's in the description box below, as well as all my social medias. Also, shout out to all the members of the channel for all you do to help me with all this, with all the channel improvements and whatnot. And with all that said, thank you guys for watching. Let me know some of your guys' off-season wars when it comes to all the different things I just discussed. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which should be a Green Bay Packers preview video.